Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Ashton and you are tuning in with me today to watch me make a whole lot of mistakes. In fact, I would actually consider this particular illustration to be an overall failure. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Ashton, this isn't a failure. So what if you made some mistakes? Are you just like fishing for compliments or something? And the answer to that question is yes, I'm always looking for compliments. No, just kidding. I am super awkward when people try and compliment me, but that's a whole nother video. What you guys don't know is that this is really nothing like what I had hoped for, and while it isn't bad per se, it just wasn't the goal, and sometimes that's okay. I have on more than one occasion ended up with something totally different than I'd set out to make, only for it to turn out really cool. But that just wasn't the case here. I really don't love this. From the very beginning, this was really frustrating piece for me, and a lot of the reasons we'll get into here in a minute. I considered heavily not posting this video today. I had all of these thoughts swarming around in my head about how you guys might think I'm just a really horrible illustrator and not want to watch my videos anymore. But then I decided that, failure is a part of life. It's a part of growth, and we all need to be more comfortable with that, myself included. So here's this concept I've been wrapping my head around for a while now, that failure isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not a 4-letter word. Say it with me, guys. Failure doesn't mean I am worthless. And as far-fetched as it sounds, you can fail at something and still be an amazing artist. You can walk away and be okay with not doing something right. And even if you feel like it should have been easy. I'd also like to take a second to note that it's okay not to like your own work. Even if everyone else says your work is awesome, you're allowed to have your own feelings about it. That being said, there is a difference between constructive criticism like, I should have taken the time to plan out these proportions better, and, oh my god, I don't deserve to call myself an artist. These eyes, they don't even match. This is just garbage, asymmetrical garbage. But I'm serious, guys. It's really okay not to like your work. Just be nice to yourself. So here are a few of the mistakes I made that could have made a big difference as far as the end result of my illustration. The first mistake was I didn't plan enough. I didn't do any thumbnails, my color studies were limited, and what's worse, they were on laser paper, which is just a really bad idea. Laser paper doesn't absorb the water right, and it just messes with the colors. So when you are trying to do a color study on paper that doesn't show the colors well, then you end up with a not so accurate representation of your goals. I only did this because I was low on watercolor paper and didn't feel like going to the store. So lesson learned, taking shortcuts is never worth it, especially with watercolor. The next big mistake I made was I over-erased my sketch. I always draw on my initial sketch too dark and end up erasing it so that the pencil won't show through the watercolor. However, I took it a little too far. I thought I could work with it, and it just realized really quickly that wasn't the case. I ended up having to correct my boundaries, and rather than just sketching on top of the first layer of watercolor and getting things more organized, I tried to force it to work, which never works. The last mistake I made is I forced myself to work on this illustration when I just wasn't in the mood to do it. Sometimes I can make myself start a piece and 15 minutes later I'm happy, I'm in the zone, and I'm loving it. Other times I just get more and more frustrated, and in the end it's never worth it to push myself that hard because I get impatient and I make mistakes I normally wouldn't. And this has a lot to do with the fact that rather than enjoying the process, I just want to hurry and get it over with, which is never the point when I start an illustration. I do these for myself to make myself feel more fulfilled. So if I'm not enjoying it, I shouldn't force myself to do it. I used to watch other artists and think that they were able to pull off these amazing illustrations without much planning or thought or effort. What I've learned is it's actually quite the opposite. Either the artist has drawn that same pose so many times they don't need a reference, or they've used those colors together so many times they know how they work together, or they just did all the legwork off screen. So what may appear as effortless success that we can attribute to raw talent is actually quite the opposite. It's lots of practice. It's lots of messing up. Lots of forethought. And every artist, and every person for that fact, fails and messes up. This is just the reality of being human. And it's usually where we find our own stride, are in these little mistakes, and when we go back and we work them and we discover something new. So I know it's cliche, but every failure and every mess up is an opportunity to grow as an artist and a person. So next time you go to draw something really badass and it comes out just kind of meh, don't be so hard on yourself and see what you can learn from it and just move on to your next drawing. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope you learn from my mistakes so that you can go out there and make your own brand new mistakes. And, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye!